Hey guys, how we doing and how we feeling today? I'm your host Emilio Fernandez and welcome back to the Pop and Bop podcast. Now this is actually the season 6 premiere, so welcome back. And we're gonna start things off by talking about and reviewing The Weeknd's 6th studio album titled Hurry Up Tomorrow. Now, The Weeknd needs no introduction whatsoever. This is normally when I introduce the artist at hand. But yeah, The Weeknd needs no introduction whatsoever. He's already pretty established. He's, I believe, currently the number 2 most listened to artist on Spotify in the world right now. So yeah, with that out of the way, what genres are comprise this album? Well, there are 2, which are R&B and synth-pop, mainly. Now, what promo have we had for this album? So we had, there was actually, the original lead single was titled Dancing in the Flames, but I believe it didn't even crack the Billboard Hot 100 Top 10. I believe it was like top 20, something like that was its peak. But the actual lead single that we had, so that song was scrapped for this album. But the actual lead single was Timeless with rapper Playboi Carti. And the follow-up single was Sao Paulo with Anitta. And with the album release, we had the 3rd single, which was Cry For Me. Okay, so onto the album itself. So I'm just gonna pull up the album really quick just to see what length it is, what runtime it has. Okay, it's taking a little bit to boot up. Okay, here we go. So Hurry Up Tomorrow. Here we are. So it's 22 tracks long. And it's an hour and 24 minutes long. So it's on the longer side of a listening session, definitely. So we start with the first track, which is Wake Me Up featuring Justice, which is the first of my highlights on the album, the first of my standout tracks on the album. Okay, so the production pulls the listener in from the get-go, giving off a dark and ominous sound synonymous with The Weeknd. Things switch up as the song progresses, as the production builds up and makes the song more lively. This is a strong opening track. Abel, so from now on, when I say Abel, I'm referring to The Weeknd because his actual name is Abel Tesfaye, in case you don't know. So Abel finishes the song with some powerful vocals. And the ones that know that Abel is a really talented vocalist. So in this song, Abel is feeling loneliness. When he's away from the spotlight, he feels quite isolated. It's as if all he has is his legacy. He appears to not believe in such a thing as the afterlife. He even fears that his lover's not quite who she seems to be, and that her love is deceiving. When life is hard, he knows death is easy. Okay. So this is a pretty interesting song to start us off. It's called Wake Me Up. Okay, another thing is that I wasn't familiar with Justice. I believe they are a production duo, so they don't actually serve vocals. They're not actually vocalists. They are I was gonna say mainly, but they're actually just focused on production. So the only one singing here is The Weeknd. So yeah, as I was saying, this is a pretty interesting song to start us off because it's pretty self-explanatory, I would say, because The Weeknd is talking about feeling like he's pretty by himself when he's away from the spotlight, and it's as if all he has to himself is his legacy. Like he thinks that even with him being the Weeknd, one of the biggest artists in the world right now, it's like he feels that he's not all that. Like as many of us think he is. He feels like all he has is his legacy, and that's not enough for him. He feels like he could be more than that, way more than that. And he appears to not believe in the afterlife and more lives after this one. And he's talking about a certain lover of his, and he thinks he doesn't know her that well, and that the love she gives him is pretty deceptive. And he knows that when life is difficult for him, that death is something certain and easy that comes in the way. Now, moving on to track number 2, Cry For Me, another standout track. So the previous opening track transitions seamlessly into this one, emanating a sense of cohesion from the get-go. This is the third single, as I already said. The production sounds daunting here, and in this song, Abel talks about a relationship that has come and gone. He hopes that his ex still cries for him like he does every night for her. He's especially sad that he even saw a whole future with her, and now they're just back to being a couple of strangers. He can't hide how he truly feels about the situation, and feels pretty lonely even with all his riches. Okay, so I did mention that the opening track is a standout. And as I already said, this is also a standout track, at least for me. So I was going to say that this second track is almost as if this is where the album actually starts, but no, that's not true, because the first track is also pretty outstanding. But the great thing here is that The Weeknd is upping his game, at least up until now. So this second track is an improvement upon the opening track. But so first I have to say that, as I already said, the previous track transitions seamlessly into this one. And if you've been a follower of this podcast, you will know by now that we love when tracks transition seamlessly into one another. When there's that sense of cohesion in an album, when you feel like you kind of have to listen to the tracks in that order, not play them on shuffle. And okay, so also, as I said, the production sounds pretty dark here, which is pretty synonymous with The Weeknd. And okay, so the story of the song. So basically, as I said, The Weeknd is talking about a relationship that has already passed. And he hopes that, as the title suggests, Cry For Me, he hopes that his ex still cries for him like he does every night for her. But most likely that isn't the case whatsoever. Now, he's mostly sad that he even saw a whole future with her. He saw the what if scenarios with her, what it could have been, and she's now only a person that he used to know. And he can't really be discreet with the situation, because what he still feels for her is pretty strong. And even with everything he has, the riches, the fame, the success, it's not enough for him. He still feels pretty lonely, which is something that we talked about in the previous track. Now, track number 3, I Can't Fucking Sing. This is simply a 12-second interlude, so we're gonna move on to track number 4, Sao Paulo, featuring Anitta, Brazilian artist Anitta. another standout track. So the previous interlude transitions seamlessly into this track. This is the second single, as I already said. In this song, Abel and Anita talk about a couple with a pretty chaotic dynamic, where one tries to flee and the other does their best to overpower them. When they're together though, their chemistry is off the charts. Anita sings in Portuguese all throughout the song, which adds another layer and flavor to the song. Okay, so not a lot to add to this song other than that, as I already said, they're both talking about a couple that they're pretty all over the place with their love, because one is trying to escape the other and the other person is trying to dominate them. But when they're together, when they work. Like, their chemistry is like skyrockets. It's something quite beautiful amidst all the chaos thrown in there. Now, okay, so track number 5, Until We're Skin and Bones. The previous track transitions seamlessly into this interlude. This is a 22-second interlude, and the production really comes alive towards the end, going out with a bang. Almost as if it's signifying that the first part of this story is over, and we're moving on to the next one. Okay, so yeah, there's nothing really I can add to this song. So we're gonna move on to, well, it's not even a song, it's an interlude, but anyways, moving on to track number 6, Baptized in Fear. One of the strongest tracks on the album, without a doubt. Abel gives a stellar vocal performance here, and in this song, Abel talks about a near-death experience and how he had cheated death several times already, that couldn't possibly be his end. He talks about fighting his demons, dealing with his fear, recounting his sins, and listening to the voice from within, telling him to just carry on and escape from the clutches of the darkness. Okay. Pretty interesting subject matter here. It's called Baptized in Fear, as I already said. I don't know if I mentioned this, but this is another, well, with what I said about it being one of the strongest tracks on the album, well, yes, naturally it's a standout track. So yeah, it's basically talking about death, once again, and you know, when you're fighting your demons and facing fear head on, but you're really scared, as the title suggests, and you're like, okay, going back to all the times you sinned, but at the same time, you're trying to move on because the voice inside is telling you to do just that, and just try to escape from the darkness that's holding you back. Okay, moving on to track number 7, Open Hearts. So the previous track flows pretty smoothly with this one. The production is electrifying here, arguably the best it's been on the album thus far. And in this song, Abel is coping with heartbreak, and to that effect, opening his heart up to new love, knowing that it never comes as an easy feat. So pretty straightforward song here. Oh, and I think I didn't mention this, but this is also a standout track on the album. And yeah, basically it's Abel dealing with heartbreak, with a breakup, and he's trying to move on to a new chapter in his life, in this case, new love, opening up to new love, as the title suggests, open hearts, but knowing that it never comes easy to anyone. Now, track number 8, Opening Night. This longer interlude is undoubtedly the weakest track on the album so far. I mean, with how good this album has been thus far, something had to be at the bottom and something had to... There was naturally gonna be a bump in the road. It's pretty hard obviously for an album to be a 10 out of 10. And well, in this song, Abel is having a hard time with his lover just as he's about to go on stage on his opening night. He claims that she's just trying to dig for lies, being emotional and irrational, all while he simply wants their love to flourish. Okay, so this song connects to the previous... I was gonna say that this song connects to the previous track, but actually, I believe it connects to the first intro that we had, I Can't Fucking Sing, because I believe I read somewhere that when he couldn't sing was during an opening night. So yeah, if that is true, then that connects to this song. Well, this interlude. So it's pretty nice. It's a pretty nice detail that the interludes are connecting. And okay, so basically in this song, also talking about love, pretty common thread throughout this whole album, as you'll see. Abel is having a hard time with his lover, his girlfriend, whatever you want to call her, just as he's about to go on stage for his opening night, because he claims that she's just trying to look for trouble where there isn't any, and just being like nonsensical, and all he wants to do is for their love to just work out in the end. Okay, now track number 9, Reflections Laughing, featuring Travis Scott and Florence and the Machine. Abel strips things back with this slower track, so this is a nice change of pace for the album, because up until this point it has been more hectic, more lively, and Travis's out-of-tune vocals, unfortunately I have to say that they were really needed here, as I believe it takes away from the song's essence, because you have this more like stripped back, slower sound, and if you add out-of-tune vocals from a rapper like Travis, it doesn't really work. So in this song, Abel, Travis, and Florence talk about Abel's struggles with fame as he goes back and forth with his vices while working to get better, and is warned by his loved ones about the music industry, pleading with him to not allow it to break him. Okay, so pretty interesting subject matter here, basically talking about fame and how not any single artist should let the industry break them, rip them from their essence. Because it really, as much as I love to talk about and critique and, everything that has to do with the music industry, I've always known, especially since I've gotten older, that it is a pretty complicated industry, let's just say that. So it is pretty important for Abel to keep his ground, keep his cool, like stand firmly on the industry and not let it rip him to shreds. Okay, so track number 10, Enjoy the Show, featuring Future. The production and extra vocals in the background are kind of off-putting here, making this track somewhat forgettable. Future's inclusion makes matters even worse, I have to say. And in this song, Abel and Future talk about how no one thought Abel would make it past the age of 24, pointing to his self-destructive lifestyle, heavy drinking, and substance abuse. Future references the Weeknd smash hit Can't Feel My Face. They talk about a lover that feels like a favorite drug, so much so that they can't live without them. Abel feels hesitant in healing traumas that are still carrying a heavy toll on his life. He hopes that his lover will mourn his death once all is said and done, and even if she doesn't, that she at least enjoys the show. So yeah, the title is Enjoy the Show. And yeah, as I said, Future's inclusion wasn't really needed, as was the case with Travis's inclusion in it was the previous track. And okay, so basically in this song, it's talking about The Weeknd opens up about how, I didn't know this at least, that he didn't believe that he would make it past the age of 24. And 24 is pretty young. I mean, I'm 28 and I can't imagine not making it past 24. Like, that's pretty young. So, but in the case of The Weeknd, he has had a pretty self-destructive lifestyle, which he claims was even worse back then, I believe. Well, he just turned 35. He just turned 35. And he claims that back when he was like 24, around that age, that was even worse. All the heavy drinking and substance abuse. And Can't Feel My Face, one of his biggest hits, talks about just that. Well, it talks about substance abuse. So yeah, it's pretty heavy stuff, obviously. Things that you should not mess around with. And yeah, we're gonna leave it at that. Now, moving on to track number 11, Giving Up on Me. So the beginning of the track makes the listener think that they're in for some more minimal production thanks to the piano, but Abel does a fake out and cranks the production up a notch. In the middle of the song, things go back to how they started off, with some more piano thrown in the mix. The production gets hectic again towards the end, before wrapping things up and making this track a standalone. So in this song, Abel delves deep into his toxic relationship with substance abuse, in which he can't manage to work on overcoming it, as if he's pretty much given up on himself, viewing himself as a lost cause. So this connects to the previous song. It's called Giving Up on Me, and yeah, basically Abel is about to give up because he feels like he's lost it, that all the substances are getting to him and he can't manage anymore, and he's just about to let it overtake him. And yeah, it's pretty rough stuff. Now, we're gonna move on we'll skip to track number 13, Timeless featuring Playboi Carti. So this is the lead single, as I previously said. This marks the second collaboration between The Weeknd and Playboi Carti. The first was with Madonna on the 2023 single popular for The Weeknd's Max original series, The Idol. So far, this has been the album's only hit, debuting and peaking at number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100. Yeah, that's another thing to add. So this album has kind of been a flop for The Weeknd. I say kind of because the album is already a number 1 album on the Billboard 200 charts. But I believe it just debuted at number 1, but it couldn't stay for even a second week there. It dropped. So this song, Timeless, is the only top 10, well, this is the top 5 hit, but he doesn't have any other, not even another top 10 hit. So not even the song that I mentioned at the beginning, Dancing in the Flames, which was scrapped altogether from this album. That song, I believe, peaked at number 14, something like that. So yeah, this is pretty concerning for The Weeknd because he's used to bigger numbers than this and more hits from each album and era than this. And in this song, Abel and Playboi Carti talk about self-identity, fame, and the transitory nature of relationships within the bittersweet world of celebrities. So, yeah, I don't think I can add anything else to that. It's pretty self-explanatory. So we're gonna move on to track number 14, Niagara Falls, another standout track. The production is pretty minimal here, giving off a more laid-back, chill sounds. We're back to that sound. And in this song, Abel reflects on a past relationship, on how he used to love this girl and how he wouldn't allow himself to feel love until he swallowed his pride. Okay, so this is a pretty solid song on the album. Well, I already said that it's a standout track, so naturally it's a solid song. But talking about the subject matter here, it's talking about a past relationship and how The Weeknd was pretty prideful during this time, and he wouldn't allow himself to feel love until he set aside his pride and accepted this love. Now, track number 15, Take Me Back to LA. This track is an acquired taste because it gets better after the initial listen. And in this song, Abel reminisces on a place that feels like home, in this case, LA, and finds himself conflicted on whether it's better when he's by himself or if he hates it, if he hates being alone. So yeah, basically the song is about a place that feels like home to you, somewhere you feel safe, away from all the chaos, all the drama, stuff of the sort. Now, track number 16, Big Sleep, featuring, hope I don't butcher this name, Giorgio Moroder, I don't know how you say that last name, but anyways. The beginning portion of this track is all over the place, but there's a clear sense of direction past this first part. So yeah, not anything else to add to this song. We're gonna skip to track number 18, Drive, another standout track. Okay, so this song can feel a tad bit repetitive during the chorus. Abel's vocals are pretty soothing, and in this song, Abel talks about his relationship with fame. Viewing it as a disease. He just feels like driving to clear his head and thinks that he'll never be this happy again. Okay, so another song talking about fame, which is another pretty common thread throughout this whole album. And yeah, I mean, at least I can say that I think we all do this. I mean, who doesn't drive around when they're going through something? You drive around just to clear your head and just try to forget about the whole thing, at least for a little while. We all do this. Now, track number 19, The Abyss, featuring Lana Del Rey. Okay, so Lana joins The Weeknd on this song, adding to their collaborations catalog, which includes Stargirl interlude from The Weeknd's Starboy album, Prisoner from The Weeknd's Beauty Behind the Madness album, among other collaborations. And okay, so she fits right in with this track, easily being the best collaboration on this album. And Abel's vocals are stunning. And in this song, Abel and Lana talk about him not wanting to let go of his lover, as he truly believes that what they share is something pretty special. Pretty self-explanatory song here. It's called The Abyss. I don't know if I mentioned this, but this is another standout track on the album. And yeah, basically, talks about not wanting to let someone go, let a lover go in this case, because you believe that what you have with this person is something that maybe you won't find with another person. So you want to keep them around. Now, skipping to track number 21, we're almost done here. Without a warning, Abel gives his best vocal performance up until this point in the album. In this song, Abel wishes he could go back to a time when he was younger and he could handle the drugs better than he does now. He talks about how even if the world wants to bring him down, there will always be a crowd calling out his name, and he hopes to be loved until the day he dies. So he talks about the tears coming down, pouring down without a warning, something like that. And yeah, he's talking about, again, with the drugs, the substance abuse, wishing he could go back in time to a younger time in his life when he could handle all that jazz better. And how even if the world, the whole world, or almost all the world decides to turn against him, he hopes that there will always be a crowd there to cheer him on. In this case, his most loyal fans, whatever you want to call them. And he hopes to be loved until the day he dies. And that brings us to the final track on this album, track number 22, the title track and closing track, Hurry Up Tomorrow, the last standout track on this album. So this is a strong closing track, I will say. The song's bittersweet and emotionally charged message is the ideal one to wrap this album up pretty nicely with a bow, cherry on top, and Abel makes sure to send the listener on their way with one final A+ vocal performance. And in this song, Abel talks about wanting to change for the better after failing himself, his abandonment issues, and not wanting to endure any more pain. So, pretty self-explanatory song here. It's called Hurry Up Tomorrow, and Abel he has failed himself so many times, at least he feels that way, and he wants to be better, I believe. I'm 100% sure that includes the whole heavy drinking and substance abuse that we've talked about with this album, and his abandonment issues, and he doesn't want any more pain. But sorry to break it to you, but there's a lot of pain in life, sadly, but what's important is how you deal with it, obviously. So yeah, that was the album. So overall, this album sounds like a more traditional The Weeknd album, as it discontinues the 80s pop sound from the previous two albums in this trilogy, which were 2020's After Hours and 2022's Dawn FM, and goes into more familiar territory for The Weeknd, in this case R&B, for the general public, and also the darker sound and aesthetic for the general public and especially the fans. Now, The Weeknd made this album feel pretty cohesive with a brilliant use of transitions and intros. Not all of them worked, but mostly they did. Now, the first half of the album is stronger than the second half, I will say that. And this album could have done away with some tracks, as I said, as a listener may feel overwhelmed by the end of this long listening session. Okay, so when comparing this album to the rest of The Weeknd's discography, do I consider this to be his best album yet? No. Hard no. I firmly believe that his fourth studio album, After Hours, the first of this trilogy, was, and it still is, his best album to date. And another thing to add is that I have read, I believe The Weeknd has stated that this may be his last project with the Weeknd moniker, like with the Weeknd stage name. So what that means basically is that this may be the end of an era for him, and next he will naturally adopt or use his real name as his stage name, whether that be just Abel or Abel Tesfaye. We will have to wait and see what he does, but pretty interesting stuff. Now, what score do I give this album? I give it a strong 4 out of 5 stars. Okay, so that was our review for Hurry Up Tomorrow by The Weeknd. Before I go, make sure to follow Pop and Bop on all social media for more content. It's basically Pop and Bop everywhere, so it's not hard to miss that. And yeah, guys, this has been Pop and Bop. Welcome to season 6. So happy to be back and welcoming you to this new era. And I'm your host once again, Emilio Fernandez. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you next time. See you.